There's an important update for retirees in the UK that you should know about. Changes to the winter fuel payment, more than $800 million dollars discovered in state pension underpayments, and a tax surprise hiding for many pensioners. Let's walk through what's happened and what it means for you. Now, let's dive into the details. For many of us receiving the state pension or relying on benefits in retirement, it's been a time of rising bills and squeezed budgets, so any change in support matters. First off, the winter fuel payment, the lump sum support designed to help those over state pension age with heating costs in the colder months, has seen a significant shift. Previously, the payment was more or less automatic for almost everyone over pension age, regardless of other income. But the rules changed. Now eligibility is tied to taxable income being under a certain threshold, around $35,000 per year for many households. If your income is above that threshold, then you may still receive the payment, but the government will reclaim it through your tax code or self-assessment, or you may lose it entirely. What does that mean in practical terms? Say you're a single pensioner over state pension age, and you used to get around $200 or up to about $300 if over 80 automatically each winter. That used to be straightforward. Now, if your taxable income, which includes your state pension, any private pension, and savings interest, looks to be above $35,000 for the year, you might receive the payment but find it being clawed back, or you may not receive it at all. A few years ago, around 780,000 pensioners were projected to lose out when means testing was introduced. So this isn't a small tweak when it affects a large chunk of the pensioner population. Now you might ask, why the change? One reason is cost containment in the public finances, but equally the government was responding to concern that people with relatively high incomes were still getting what was designed as a support for those struggling with heating bills. So the decision was made to restore broader eligibility but attach income thresholds. Importantly, for many pensioners, this emerged as a U-turn. The government had initially proposed much tighter restrictions, then reversed course following pressure, meaning the current system is somewhere between the old universal payment and full means testing. For any pension over 35K income household, the key takeaway is check your taxable income. If you expect your taxable income will exceed the 35K threshold, you may simply not keep the winter fuel payment. Analysts warn that because pension rises and inflation may push people's income above this threshold, more households will drop out of eligibility over time. That means even if you are getting the payment now, you might lose it in future without realizing. Now let's move to the second major update, the discovery of more than $800 million in historic underpayments of the state pension by the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP. Between January 2021 and March 2020, the DWP identified some 148 cases of underpayment, involving back payments of around $804.7 million in total. The people affected included married women whose partner reached pension age before 2008, widows, and those aged over 80 whose entitlements had not been properly updated. What does that mean for you? If you've been relying solely on the official state pension statement without checking the finer detail, it's possible a correction exercise might apply to you. For example, married women who never had their pension increased when their spouse retired, or widowed pensioners who did not get the correct inherited entitlement, may now benefit from the review. The average underpayment in some categories has been around $5,500 for married women, and around $11,700 for widowed cases. This is significant because for many retirees, a few extra £100 a year matter a lot. Perhaps enough to help cover house heating, maintenance, or just ease day-to-day cost pressures. And the warning is, the final total is not yet known. It could exceed $1 billion as further cases are processed. The point here is, don't assume your pension is correct. It may be worth asking the pension service to check your record. Now the third item, tax surprises. Many pensioners think once they reach retirement, their tax and income landscape is fixed, but not so. Because of rising state pension payments via the triple lock mechanism and other pension increases, your taxable income may creep up. The triple lock means the state pension is increased each year by the highest of inflation, average earnings growth, or 2.5%. That means your income steadily rises. If, therefore, your taxable income crosses certain thresholds, it can change your tax position or eligibility for certain benefits. For example, crossing into a higher tax band or moving over the income threshold for the winter fuel payment. If you don't keep an eye on these changes, you might find yourself paying more tax than expected or losing benefits you thought were safe. For instance, say in year one you had taxable income of $34,000 and received the winter fuel payment. A year later, due to pension increase and maybe interest on savings, you hit $35,500. You might still get the payment, but HMRC will recover it through your tax code. That recovery means your monthly pension payout will be slightly less as the deduction appears in your pension payment. That can lead to budgeting surprises if you are relying on the full amount arriving in your bank. It's important to emphasize that these changes don't mean you're worse off necessarily. Many pensioners will keep the payment or never cross the income threshold. But the risk is higher now that income thresholds are in place. The good news is you have time to plan. If you anticipate that your taxable income might cross the threshold, you could look at options such as delaying drawing some private pension payments, reducing taxable interest by shifting savings into ISAs, or simply budgeting for the possibility of losing the payment. Now let's bring this all together. How does it affect you day to day? If you're over state pension age, the key things to check now are: what is your taxable income for the year going forward? What benefits and payments you already get? For example, heating help, winter fuel, pension credit? Are you confident your pension record is correct, especially if you are widowed or married and your spouse had a pension record? Are you prepared for tax changes? For many households, this means sitting down with a recent pension statement, your private pension income, if any, savings interest, and double-checking that you still fall under eligibility for any benefits you rely upon. One practical example: let's say Mrs. Smith is 68, receives the full new state pension, draws a small private pension of $5,000 a year, and has savings interest of $1,500. Her taxable income is well under threshold, so she receives the winter fuel payment of $200. Next year, her state pension increases by 3% and savings interest rises slightly, so her taxable income grows to maybe $35,200. She is now over the threshold. What happens? She still receives the payment, but HMRC recovers it through her tax code at about $17 a month. That means her bank payment from pension is lower. She needs to be aware of that, so she budgets accordingly. If she had known in advance, she might shift some savings into an ISA or hold off drawing more private pension. Or Mr. Jones, aged 82, over state pension age, whose income has been creeping up and he had assumed the winter fuel payment was safe. He now discovers he's over the threshold and so his benefit is recovered. This causes a surprise deduction in his pension payout. That triggers perhaps a reassessment of his budget. Heating costs are high, and he was counting on that payment. Knowing this ahead of time makes the planning less stressful. On the underpayment front, a couple of ladies have spoken publicly about discovering their record was incorrect and receiving back payments of thousands of pounds. It changed their outlook and helped them cover debt or simply relax more in retirement. So, if you haven't checked your state pension entitlement for decades, this is a good moment to look. The DWP is still working through cases, so you might still be owed something. It's also worth talking about the interplay between benefits like pension credit and the winter fuel payment. Pension credit is a means-tested benefit that tops up your weekly income if you're on a low income and under certain thresholds. It also unlocks other benefits such as free TV license, help with NHS costs, and the warm home discount. In some cases, even if you're above a threshold for winter fuel, holding pension credit may still provide worthwhile support. Many pensioners mistakenly believe if they are too rich, they don't qualify, but actually many do and don't claim. So checking for pension credit is still good practice. In terms of reassurance, yes, it's true some pensioners will lose the winter fuel payment or have it recovered, but overall the support is still there for the vast majority of those on modest incomes. Also, the fact the government picked up the historic underpayments is a positive sign. The system has improved oversight and is actively addressing mistakes. That means you can feel more confident that errors are less likely to go unnoticed now. Also, if you have a private pension or savings, you retain full control. You can plan around taxable income and benefits. So it's not a passive game. You can influence your outcome. If you're watching this and you've had your state pension for a while, or you're drawing private pensions or savings interest, I invite you to pause and think, what is my taxable income likely to be this coming year? Am I likely to cross the 35K threshold? Have I reviewed my pension record recently? Are there unknown gaps in my national insurance history, particularly if I raised children, cared for someone, or changed name after marriage or divorce? If you'd like, share your experience in the comments below. Have you discovered a back payment, or are you worried you might lose eligibility for the winter fuel payment? I'd love to hear your story and we can learn from each other. In closing then, it's been a year of important updates in the retirement world. Support based on age alone is now overlaid with income thresholds. Historic pension mistakes are being corrected. Tax rules continue to matter even in retirement. What this means for you is clear. Keep an eye on your income, review your pension record, check your eligibility for benefits, and adjust your budget accordingly. Stick with me. We'll keep tracking further changes as they arrive. Thank you for staying with me, for taking the time to understand what's happening and how it affects your retirement income. Wishing you a relaxed evening, warm home, and clear mind as you plan ahead. Until next time, look out for any letters or emails from DWP or HMRC. Double-check your benefit and pension arrangements, and stay informed. Take care and see you again soon.